Police in Wisconsin arresting a Christian youth leader for peacefully protesting a drag queen story hour at a local park with fellow congregants. The young man who you see on your screen is Marcus Schroeder, and he now faces charges for unlawful use of sound amplification and resisting arrest. Schroeder and another number of members of his church reportedly began praying and talking to people who were at the event before they were arrested and let off with warnings if they promised to stay beyond nearby fences.
So the group complying, but began protesting from outside the park where the event was happening. Schroeder, using a microphone, began preaching. An officer attempting to take the microphone away before disconnecting the amplifier. Newsmax has reached out again to authorities on this and has not heard back. But Marcus Schroeder is here. He's the man that was in the video, and he joins us now. And thank you so much for coming on. What was going through your mind in that moment? The viewers were watching that moment for you, and really what sparked you to step up, to begin preaching, and to begin that moment?
Yeah, I was a bit surprised. I was not expecting to be arrested by any means. I was kind of driven by this desire to have some sort of public witness against the event that was going on. There were grown men dressed in lingerie doing sexual suggestive performances and dances before the children. They called it a drag queen story hour, but the funny thing is they only read books for maybe 20 minutes. They did a dance hour with the kids for, I'd say, probably an hour total that day. And so that's what they were doing as I was preaching. And so I was kind of driven. I was reading from Galatians 5, which is just a passage about what true love is. It's not even a passage that talks about homosexuality. It's just a passage that talks about true love according to Scripture, because that word gets thrown around a lot. So I was talking about that, and now there's a whole field between me and the drag queen dance hour at that time. And so it's right there on the public sidewalk outside the fence that I started preaching, and the events took place.
There's been a lot of people's thoughts about what took place, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of comments, Marcus, including from the governor of Wisconsin. He weighed in on the event, saying this weekend's Nazi presence at a Watertown LGBTQ Pride event was a disgusting and direct attack on our state's LGBTQ community, communities of color, and Jewish Wisconsinites. This is unacceptable and unwelcome in Wisconsin, period. Marcus, what is he referring to?
There was a Nazi group that had showed up earlier that day that I had never heard of before, never seen before. They showed up for about 20 to 30 minutes, got the attention of the news and the media, did some chants, and then left. And I've never seen them since, had never seen them before. And so as they came for about 20 to 30 minutes, we were there all day, by the way, from about like 10 a.m. to probably 4 or 5 p.m. And so they show up for 20 minutes, and automatically the news and the governor and other people who were speaking before the city council meeting 2 nights later were trying to group us in with this Nazi group that we had never heard of before. And so they were essentially claiming that if you protest drag queen story hours, you're on the side of these Nazis, which of course is not true. So I gave a speech. I addressed the city council that Tuesday night and addressed that issue, talking about how we weren't associated with the Nazis and how the only way that you could take issue with what the Nazis did and how that was wrong is if you hold to a Christian worldview that says that people are made with worth and value. But if you believe that we're all animals and the result of evolved stardust, then you've lost your standard for morality and you don't have any basis upon which to complain that there was even a Nazi group there.
Marcus, watching the video, it's hard to watch because you see you protesting. We've seen others protesting, and seemingly, though, authorities are going after you for protesting. We've seen other protesters that interrupt gatherings that don't face any authorities in this moment. I'm curious to know, have you retained counsel?
Yes, I've talked to a few legal firms. I haven't picked one yet, but yes, we're going to try and get my charges dropped and then go from there and see about further paths that might be.
Do you believe that the authorities acted unlawfully, in your opinion?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's pretty clear when you watch the video. There's some other videos too from different angles, and I think it's pretty clear that what they charged me with was they were trying to find something to charge me with, but the things that they charged me with they had no basis to charge me with.
You know, Marcus, was anyone who attended the drag queen story hour, did they come up to you and talk to you and ask you to maybe relocate to a different part of the park?
No, there was no conversation. In fact, the beginning of that video that you played was the beginning of me using the amplification. So right as soon as I used the amplification, the officer comes over and takes the microphone from my hand. There was no conversation. He didn't ask me to turn it off. There was not, and that was our first time using amplification all day, actually.
All right. We're going to continue to follow that story there. We hope you join us again. Marcus Schroeder sharing that. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Got it.